side. Okay, we are live.
Says it live?
So now we'll hop over to Facebook and see if we are connected.
I don't know. It's not in the news feed, and I can't. Oh yeah, there you go. You're live. You're live. That means I'm live.
That's cool.
It says red.
And can you can't see it though in the feed though, right? It's interesting.
Actually, if I go, yeah, here we are. We're live.
I see it though in the feed though, right?
Okay, I have to switch that off because I'm hearing the feedback.
Yeah,
we're live.
Oh, amazing. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I love that you can see that on yours. I can't see. Welcome to our wonderful Missy and Maid chat. We are just enjoying the technology and the eclipse vibe. So happy, beautiful eclipse portal that's happening in about 1 hour here in New Zealand. So welcome. I am super excited to be here. Debbie Lim Creative hosting the beautiful Belinda Henderson, who is one of my dearest soul sisters and soul tribe, who I've had the pleasure of journeying alongside for the last, how long has it been, Belinda? 2 years coming up?
Oh, yeah, I think it was about April last year.
Yeah. Amazing.
It was ready when I was ready for expansion.
Yes, and you just danced into my world. It's been amazing watching you spread your wings and fly. So for those of you that don't know me, I've got a few new followers on the page. My name is Debbie Lim. My business is Debbie Lim Creative, and I help amazing heart-centered soulpreneurs to come into soul alignment and really step into their purpose and their passion and open up a life that they dream of. Really, this year I've been calling it the words I've been given is the True Abundance Codex, where we are moving out of the matrix of the 9 to 5 and the hustle and finding what it is that our soul desires to move through us into the world. So there's it's been a real softening this year, a real sacral energy, a real divine feminine flow of letting our work come through us and been in the enjoyment of life alongside it. So it's been a joy to watch you stepping in, Belinda. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your soul business? And I'd love to know like how you got started with it all as well in terms of the dance.
Yeah. Thank you, Debbie. Or should I say Deborah? Yeah, I like to be in gratefulness to begin with. And I don't claim to feel the entirety of gratefulness yet. However, I'm embracing it moment by moment and little more by little more in life as I go. And in gratefulness for Melissa, the Fine Flow, for referring me to you when I was prior to starting up a class that I'm now taking at Murwillumbah at the stables with Stacey, a beautiful businesspreneur herself. She does yoga and bungee yoga. For anyone that would like to refer to my page, you'll find Stacey there. You'll find the Fine Flow there, Melissa. And Melissa introduced me to Debbie last year. I was looking for expansion, and I had already begun to step into leading dance classes, but that all got a bit chopped up and discombobulated with COVID. It didn't quite roll. I was right on the border. Everything was locked down and nothing was actually going to flow. So that was very stop-start. And then I kind of just didn't do that for a while. And then I, sort of jumped out, and I was being terribly resourceful and doing other lines of work. So I found Debbie through Melissa. And that was through Melissa being such an advocate for her experience with the being messy and made and the artwork and the creativity, which I feel Debbie Lim is just so magnificently aligned with in terms of just showing up in that beautiful source energy of just realizing that nothing has to be perfect and within the lines, and that is what I have taken into dance. And with the NIA training, it was just a very quick, short burst of training. And at that time when I did that in 2021, it was with Sally Tebow, and she's a beautiful coach. So I just have all these women around me, honestly, that are just so embodied and so empowered, and that are able to be liberated in speaking their voices. And it is, I feel so blessed and grateful to have these women around me. And even back in 2007, when I was in the throes of ending and separating from my first beautiful relationship in life, I went to the Blue Mountains, and my auntie assisted me in taking me there. And that was the first time I'd ever been away by myself. And it was a week in the Blue Mountains and a Ayurvedic yogic retreat. So it's all these experiences that make us who we are today. And it's been a big, long, liberating journey. Yeah.
I love that. It's like a melting pot, isn't it? It's like one thing leads you to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. Like none of us are the guru or the one answer or the solution, which you see a lot in a lot of marketing online. It gets a bit overwhelming. But really it's like, I just love this vibe that's really in the mix at the moment, where we're breaking down all of that stuff and we're just coming into collaboration, into equality, into that we can give and receive from each other. Everyone's got a part to play. Everyone's got their own little piece of the puzzle. And yeah, it's been beautiful watching you step in and evolve your business in a really, I would say, organic, beautiful, soft way, which is what the dance is, isn't it? It's almost like your journey through evolving your business has been like a dance. I know that you're not really that interested in the strategy and the this and that and the nuts and bolts and stuff. Yeah. We just had this amazing event that you've collaborated because you followed your heart, you followed the sisterhood vibes, and then you created this amazing event. So for those of you that are a little behind in what we're talking about, so Belinda did dance training, then she stepped into my world, and we were doing a program called Keepers of the Blue Flame, and there was an invitation for people to use this process that I was just in development of called Creative Alchemy. And Belinda, you really took that and ran with it. And Belinda made these incredible paintings, which, it's not a fine arts process, but what came through your soul as you painted through the different stories and limitations was so beautiful. And that's the ultimate kind of gift when we let go of perfectionism, is to let it elevate and activate you. And I still think to this day that process was such a gateway for you to expand into what you're doing now, which is now outside of dance classes, which I'm sure are freaking amazing, and I wish I was closer, and I can't wait till they're online. But collaborating in a full day retreat, was it? So do you want to tell us about the event that you had?
Yeah, can I just expand on what you were just talking about before? So I was just thinking with your words then about the perfectionism, and I feel it's in connection also with your live event, with your beautiful Soul Seed coaching, with beautiful Bex and Lisa and Lani and you even Sharon and Aziza and all the beautiful women in your Soul Seed, and Michelle Taggart. The fact that everyone can feel so supported in a space to feel liberated and in alignment with the non-perfectionism, it allows us to turn up as exactly who we are. And this started for me in many personal development courses. I did landmark education. I did a lot of tapping, the EFT tapping with Sally. And through those experiences, I realized a lot of my patterns from my youth, which was overthinking, self-doubt, non-action. And I'm going to list them out because they'll be resonating for people.
Oh, absolutely. Share.
And it's the double guessing myself with my words, which is so ironic because I have so many words and I love prose and poetry and have so much to get out. However, there was a lot of inaction. I came from a corporate world, which was very locked up in the jaw and very locked up in the body. And you turn up and you show up in a very conformed manner. And it's not a great space to allow for creativity and for our own uniqueness to come through. So all of these patterns and you've got a beautiful mindset process, which you have in each of your courses that you deliver, which is amazing. I'm not a brilliant mindset processing kind of a person. I'm a real wing it girl. So just to be able to show up and express myself and to ride through that self-doubt. And that's what I do with my dance classes. I have a light choreography. I now feel such a beautiful what's the word, like a beautiful sense of self that I can turn up and just feel like I can, it's like I'm just saying whatever resonates with me in that moment, and they feel true to myself. So that's a beautiful and
I really speaking to that as well, because I was just having a conversation with somebody else who was talking about what she wants to set up, and she was listing off all of this technology and all these things she wants to bring into her business. But this person has an amazing gift, and I think it's something I said to her, and I'm seeing it throughout all of the women in Soul Seed, and I know this has been one of a deep learning for me too, is where we stop outsourcing all of the magic and the power into the process or the tool, and recognize that we are the most powerful transformation, that when people just come into our space, the codes that we hold through the work that we do behind closed doors and all the inner stuff is what gives people permission, isn't it, to be who they truly authentically are? Because a lot of this is what I'm feeling from what you're saying, and after last night's transmission and Liberated, it is, isn't it? It's permission to just to be you, to be real, to be amazing one day and maybe a bit messy the next day, and that's okay. And once we release the judgment and that pressure, then we get to, then, that's how life starts to unfold in a much more kind of gentle, beautiful way that's in alignment with our soul or our higher self or whatever words resonate for you. So
I think that's what you've been able to share, Debbie, is that you are able to do that. And each day, no matter how you're feeling, on any day, you turn up to the course or whatever it is that you're delivering, and you're able to be just you. There's no need for facade, which is usually what we go out and we see in the outside world. But, it's coming to realize through your courses of the Keep Through the Blue Flame and the Soul Seed business coaching and even the Wairua retreat, I'll never forget a beautiful experience of just that beginning ceremony of just crossing that bridge across the waters. And in the crossing of the bridge, we were to open up our voice. And how often in the world do we suddenly go, we're just opening up our voice and expressing? It's not very often. And so it was a very, it was a different experience for me. There were a lot of the, is it Maori? Do you yes. That very beautiful indigenous.
Like karanga, wasn't it? But there was just for context, we had on that retreat, for those of you watching, we had many gifted sound alchemists, light language technicians, if that's the word, speakers, who were very at home in that space. And then, there was a couple of people on the retreat that maybe hadn't had a go at that before. And so I want to celebrate you, Belinda, because you gracefully in your beautiful dancer mode made your way across that bridge. And I mean, where I was standing, I couldn't hear anyone. And that's not what it was about, but I saw you just let go. And in that moment, it's the permission, isn't it? You set yourself free, and it just is what it is.
We turn up for ourselves in that way. You were there to hold space, but we hold space for ourselves. It was when we step into these places, it's like, suddenly I'm holding space for myself. Suddenly I'm not judging myself. I've probably gone through an eternity of self-judgment. And it's that realization of when I'm judging myself, I'm judging everyone else around me. And it's that, when I'm not loving myself, I'm not loving anyone else. When I'm not in self-compassion, so when I crossed that bridge and Pauline grabbed out to hold my hand, I just, it's a feeling, it's a cellular change. It's a cellular change, these experiences. as when I was doing the tapping with Sally, as when I was doing the painting with you, all these processes. But it's when we just turn up with no expectation of an outcome, and that's something a beautiful coach is. Yeah, yes. And it's just such a beautiful space to be in, and that is what I bring into the dance. And you know, whether I feel like I've got something magnificent to deliver or not, it doesn't matter. Nothing's right or wrong, and that is just probably the most key takeaway I think I've brought with me to this point in life.
Yeah, it's a massive reflection, I think, for all of us, or any of us as space holders, or even as maybe mothers or wives or women that are juggling a lot, is that relinquishing of the responsibility for other people's experience. And I know that's been a constant thing that I work on all the time within my coaching and spaces, is that it's not about me or whatever my ego needs to know about whether it's working or whatever it is, and trusting. I guess it's trust piece. That the more space you actually give people, the more opportunity they have to rise into their fullest expression. And so that's been really interesting from, you know, from my own trauma that's come from like needing to control all the outcomes. And I think probably collectively as women, we're all moving through this as we rise into the true divine feminine and start to just be able to surrender and receive so much more, and then realize, that's when we actually activate the power that we're seeking, or the experiences that we're maybe grasping for in our old wounded or toxic ways. So thank you so much for sharing that, because it was interesting. I was going through the feedback forms of why do I getting, you know, intel for branding and marketing and things this year. And then it was actually in a conversation I had with someone else who had spoken to someone else who had come, and she said, can I offer you something that I heard straight from the horse's mouth, Debbie, that I wasn't seeing or receiving from these forms? Was, she said, this person said that it was one time in their life where they felt free, the freest they'd ever been to just be who they are. And I was like, that's
it. And I feel the beauty in that is that if I'm doing that, you can do that. If I'm doing that, she can do that. If I'm doing that, he can do that. It's a space, you know, of more relaxation. You know, if I want to look at the end game, I want to feel relaxed. I want to be able to be me. I want to be able to say whatever I want to say and not feel judged. And so then that comes back to, am I judging myself? And so when you offer that space for people to turn up at Wararua or in your online coaching courses, or any of the beautiful, magnificent women that do the same, and what they offer, it's just a space to, it may not have to be the be all and end all, but it's a space for you to just be at peace in that moment, I feel like. And we don't have to go through necessarily all the emotions and all the trauma. It's like that quantum. It's just like, bang, we're in the now. And it's the next moment, to the next moment, to the next moment of just feeling a peace and a harmonious abundance of unlimitedness on who we can be in that moment.
I love that. You're speaking my language so much.
It's joy, and it's all for the love of joy.
Yeah, it's profound, isn't it? And it's a hard thing to put into words sometimes, the experiences that we can have in our bodies. So, for example, in your dance classes, on the dance floor, or in a retreat space where something is happening that you don't have words for. I suppose it's like painting as well. If you've got an abstract painting where there aren't any words to convey the feeling of that particular thing. And I had that experience yesterday. I went to open floor dance so I happened to be down the Coromandel, and it's just actually super profound what can happen when we I guess it is letting go of the mind, letting go of the thoughts, letting go of the needing to know it all and unravel it all, which, you know, sometimes when we're coaching, there's a lot of words and talking before we do the healing part. And it's just, it does feel quantum leaps and bounds that you can move mountains and lifetimes in those.
It's a really good point, Deb, because I was thinking in the lead up to us going live. This is the first live I've done. Yay! Celebrating us.
I've seen women out there expressing.
You know, there's been probably in every job I've ever been, there's been a performance anxiety. And it's like, who do I have to be to get the job done? And that's a great way to be. But it's, you know, like I probably wouldn't have slept the night before, and I would have been, I'm sweating bullets, but you know, that's just that's my
tell you on the face. Right.
But it's just that releasing of the performance anxiety, and that I don't have to have all the answers, and I don't have to have any university degrees. I don't have to have any qualifications. My qualification is that I turn up being me and who I have been in life, and that my life experience is that all I need to be in this moment, and that I possibly may be able to share that and connect with someone with who I am in this moment. And that I feel like I'm connecting more with myself in that way. That's that intimacy piece that you're always sharing in each of your courses as well. Into me, I see. And I love that. I've just taken that. It makes me quite emotional, because it's probably, been when we have certain environments that we have in our youth, that there might be a lot of confrontation and a lot of harm, verbally and physically. So it's big. It's big to sit here and to share of ourselves when there may have been an eternity of doubt. And no doubt that's ancestral, and that's from that generation before me, and the generation before that, and the generation before that, of all the fear. And, it's that realization of we're either in love or we're in fear. One or the other is quite black and white.
It is. It's that simple. And yet we overcomplicate it, because what you're speaking into there is simply the journey home, isn't it? It's the journey home to yourself, and to feeling like you do belong, but you just belong to you, and then not needing to outsource to anything else for our power or for our validation, I guess, which is what comes from those deep childhood woundings of not being seen, not being heard. But ultimately they are the gateway, aren't they, to us taking that journey home, to realizing that that's because the journey home is realizing that we can only give that to ourselves at the end of the day. That's been one of my deepest soul lessons that really landed earlier this year, was, this is where the resistance has been. Why won't you and you and you and you and you and you show up for me the way I want you to? And realizing that it's only something I can give to me. But it's a journey we all have to take. We can say it, we can hear it from people, and it'll be like, I get that. But it might not land in our bodies, or we're spinning on the dance floor, or lying under a tree on a retreat, or those moments.
It pains me to think of how much perfectionism and how much I judged myself previously in life, and how much I wouldn't have turned up for other people because of that. And probably the most hurtful of all was that I didn't turn up for myself enough. So it feels quite sad that I feel like I missed out on a lot of very fulfilling experiences because I wasn't there for me. And and don't get me wrong, I don't feel like I'm all the way there yet, but that's okay. It's whatever it is. And
it's also part of your journey, though, isn't it? Is actually letting go of, like, there is no there. There's only here, like moments of now, moments of now, moments of now. That's what time actually is. So there is no there. There is another illusion, like perfectionism. It doesn't exist. So many of us are waiting till we've climbed the mountain or got the thing, or so. I love this. This is giving me great soul clarity today, Belinda, about what is the work that I do. And the death of the perfectionist for me was
and so I'm grateful to you, Deb, for sharing your gifts. And you have a beautiful presence online. You have a beautiful ability to lead, and you've been able to impart and assist others in turning up for themselves and to do that for themselves. So I'd really like to acknowledge what you share to the world, and your beautiful higher purpose.
It just keeps expanding. Thank you, Eclipse. Hey, as we just keep moving, and then back again to the power of embodiment and dance. That was only yesterday, and then huge things have landed in the last 24 hours. 24 hours. So let's talk about you some more then. So first of all, I'm going to celebrate you. So what are the transformation that I've witnessed from you is, if I could, and I always tune into a visual, it's like energetically your shoulders have dropped and they've come back and you've reclaimed your power, your voice, the power of your jaw, what wants to express through you. And I can see you just like leading yourself in a completely foreign way, and the overthinking and the second guessing and the harsh voice, it's all just over time gradually moving, fading away, and then boom, there you are, stepping out from, like, I remember the first conversations we had, which were around the worry about having to get all the steps right when you're inside a system, and then doing your own weave with the Nia and yourself, and then now expanding that into, how would you describe your full day retreats? Creative embodiment.
Yeah, well, that's been a beautiful unfolding, because it's allowed me connection with two other beautiful collaborators. And, you know, we all have our gifts to share of ourselves. You know, there's a yoga, and there's Melissa sharing the beautiful paint work, which, you know, her and I both experienced with you. And she has a magnificent way to just bring in such presence, you know, into that modality. And then my dance. So with the dance, it's, yeah, like I said, it's just been an unfolding with, I remember going to beautiful Taryn's class, and that was where I began, when I was given a list of a dozen different dance classes to go to, and I saw the word freedom in the Nia dance. And I thought, yeah, that's me. I don't want any conforming. I wanted to get out of the structure and the systematic realms of the businesses that I was working in. I just wanted unstructured ability to flow more. And yes, dance has always been my jam. My girlfriends will tell you flat out that I was the last one to leave the dance floor at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you know, would come out a sweaty mess, would be drenched. And it was I guess it was a way for me to channel my energy, and I always feel like I'm in source when I'm moving and I'm dancing, and it was probably my way to express that I couldn't feel like I was able to fully get out here. So I feel like it was moving through my body. And yeah, I would share that with anyone if you're looking to unlock, you know, as you shared, Deb, it's that sacral, you know, it's like you've got the extra tailbone on the end of your spine, and we're able to open up, you know, the sacral and the sexual chakras, and then that's a connection with our voice and our throat. And then when we're able to express more of that, gosh, it moves mountains, and it unlocks portals of creation. And I've never felt as creative and enabled to feel like I can just say, move, do, be in the way that I do now. Without, it's like it's uncapped. It's the lid's off.
The lid's off. This is it. Like in creative energy, we are in the infinite realm of the heart and of the oneness and of the source and of love, which is what it is, right? Because there are no limits and there are no borders. When we put it in the box of fine arts or whatever it is, dance or whatever, then we've put a container around it. But when we can activate that unstructured is the key medicine for the sacral. That's how I started healing myself through painting, was by finger painting and play, because there was no set outcome. And as an art school person who did photography so that I could make it perfect. Hang on.
Yeah, right. And that's why I chose to dance, because I didn't want perfectionism. I needed to get out of that. I thought I wanted to be a Pilates instructor. I thought I wanted to be a yoga instructor. And at the end of Taran's classes, I was about to say, I always go off on a tangent, was that I cried because I felt like I would never have the words. And it's so ironic because I have so many words. But I just felt in that moment before I started my dance classes that I wouldn't have what it took. I wouldn't, you know, that I would lock up, that I would freeze, that I wouldn't be able to be myself.
And I love it. I'm just having a little reflection of like, and I remember then like you turned up for a class and the microphone didn't work. Like the universe kept throwing you all these things. When we invited you to take the dance class
I didn't have the playlist,
it wouldn't download your playlist. So you just had to keep being forced into flow and
into ad-libbing.
Holding, which is how we uncover our own unique secret sauce, isn't it? It's like we have to let it be a bit messy and then surrender into the trust and then choose to step in anyway and then give ourselves permission to be seen in that. There's just, and then like I'm just feeling like that sacral unlocking, then the voice comes, hey. We often go like straight into the voice, but it's actually this deeper womb work that we need to unravel. And it's what I feel like is this true feminine codes of us tapping back into our innate nature of true femininity, which is we are to be wild and messy and powerful and cyclical. You know, that's what we are as women, but we've been trying to operate in this different kind of linear way, which is really, you know, taking us off course, and we can see it rife with burnout and overwhelm and fatigue and all sorts of things going on in the body. And I love this. It does get to be this simple. Could it be this simple as stepping onto the dance floor and letting yourself go?
I did 5 minutes of a sort of a prana, which is a sounding and it's a movement before I came on to speak with you. And it allows me the movement, it allows my voice. And yeah, so I feel like if anyone's feeling moments of doubt or locked up and that performance anxiety and they're not enough, and it's what you were sharing. It's rest before the work. Enter into the rest, because when we're relaxed and we're in rest, is that very masculine energy, right? It's that beautiful structure, and it's like what you were sharing about the men just lying around on the couch, and they're just like, yeah, I'm relaxed. I'm just hanging around, and I know what's good for me. You know, I know what feels good, and it's something that women haven't been embodied with because they're just always running around like the Russian women, feeling like I have to do this to please everybody and get the things done. And that was a massive takeaway piece from one of your courses, or it's in every course really that you share.
Yes, it's been very prevalent this year. This it's been my own personal journey since the last eclipse portal, actually. So it's really interesting that we are speaking about this today, because it feels like we're now through that inner masculine healing, and I call it inner masculine rather than divine or whatever, but some people will use those words. But now we're coming into this portal where it feels like, and now we're ready to activate our divine feminine, because she needs to have this inner masculine healing frequency within her, this healthy masculine energy, let's call it that. Because a lot of women will be going like, but what are you talking about? Because the women are to receive, and, you know, you can think about divine goddesses lying around, but, you know, since women's lib, we don't well, because we became liberated, which was great. We needed to, but then we went into hyper independence, superwoman. Now we've got to do everything, and now we're seeing that unravel, and lots of healing happening in the collective on that, which I'm really happy about. So,
I feel like I'm really I have these little epiphanies, and it's just like, you know, so if we're in our truth, if we're in our honesty, you know, of just being in the moment, in the nowness, just being in the present, I feel like it's immortality. So immortality is timelessness. You know, you look at the hourglass. It's like it's a never-ending cycle. You know, we were given watches. We were given watches to put on our wrist. We're bound by time, and our time is running up. And look, there's another birthday coming up. All these reminders of time. And we have to get things done in life, but look at all the restraints that time has on us. And, you know, so I just feel like when we're able to be in that presence more and more, it's the opening of immortality. That's the elixir of life.
It absolutely is. You are, because you're in the receiving of everything, right? So for me, I had this experience with I mean, it's funny, I own the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, but I just cannot read his words. They just do not go in my brain. But I believe that you can receive the codes of the book by having it in your house. So I have it in my house. And I do believe that I have received that, and through working with an amazing embodiment coach as well, because the big thing was in so much physical pain all the time. But then what I started to notice was if I was off doing a job, like say when I stepped into doing those branding goddess shoots and I was like in that amazing channeled space for 24 or 48 hours, I wouldn't feel any pain. I had limitless energy. And then I would, as soon as it was over, I would have a big attack of the body somehow, a gallbladder attack, or my hip would go out, my back would go out, because I would have back in all the old programming of the stresses of not being in my body and not being present. And as I unraveled all the trauma around that and came into the experience of the now moment, yeah, it's like, oh, we don't have to experience any of that. The pain body is simply when we're outside of ourselves, forward or backwards.
Yeah.
And so that was
a really good point.
so profound. And now it's something that I can check in with easily and know, have I actually just jumped out of my body right now? Where am I? How do I pull it back in? And having practices like dance. And that's something I just realized recently, is that I've let my own dance practice kind of go, and I'd started to feel like I was leaving my body more and more and more. So even just putting a song on before a call, or taking a moment to go and sway on the earth or whatever and just connect in again is such a powerful way to bring you back into that.
Yeah, celebrating you. It's just for the awareness, and and that beautiful, in these group chats that we have with the other ladies, and I'm seeing ladies in our group that they wouldn't see the power of themselves, and they wouldn't see what they had to offer, and they would just disappear, and we wouldn't see them very involved. And I still do that myself. So it's that art of receiving in ourselves, in having been in that present moment and being able to share of ourselves. It's still a really difficult process to embody, and I feel like, the more and more we can turn up for ourselves and be on that dance floor and just fully express in our body and the movement and the mobility, and just to come back into the body, and also to sound, like this dance movement, mindful dance movement that I offer, is bringing in the sounds of the vowels, and that's a beautiful technique called the Nia technique, and she brings that in as well. But it's that we all have these beautiful gifts that we don't even realize. I didn't even realize that I wanted to dance, because I had blocked out any women are rushing about in life, not even getting their needs met, let alone their wants. So to sit down and actually embrace our desire of what floats our boat, what actually lights us up. There's a lot of people that don't even realize what their desires. They can't even fathom to be able to bring that to light. So I feel so blessed that I have shown up for myself, and I'll celebrate myself, because this is how we roll, right? It's your teachings through to me, and I've brought that into the retreat as well, and Melissa as well, and it's just such a powerful embodied practice.
The ripples, hey, so powerful, so amazing. Because it's all interwoven with our relationship, yes, to self, to others, to community, to and being safe to express is the gateway, isn't it, to sharing more of what we came here to do. And it's always expanding, but it's, I guess, manifestation and action as well. You're actually bringing it in by doing, but not doing. Actually, it's more about the how you're doing what you're doing. Bringing it into my being.
So that you can be doing, but you're being.
And a question, how am I doing the doing? Like if I think about, for example, when I started Open Floor, I really had the nudge to go, but I hadn't done that much stuff like that before, and I would be so in my head for at least the first half, if not 3/4 of the whole class, still worrying about what I looked like or how other people might be perceiving me. And then I just had a moment, because I hadn't been in a long time, yesterday, to walk in there and I was late too, so I hadn't had the warm up, but to just drop into let the body take over and just fly and let go. I mean, that is embodying freedom, isn't it? It's embodying abundance.
Absolutely.
which is
like I've got wet hair, I've got a hole in my shirt. Honestly, there is no way I would have turned up on any kind of screen like this previously in life. It's just it's so powerful. Honestly, it just feels so good to just feel like you can just walk out the door. I don't have to be all of that. Who am I impressing? It's
just embodying authenticity and integrity, which is truth, which is that thing that we're all trying to get. How's this for freaky too? So I turn up to the dance, the open floor, and hadn't been in forever, had no idea what process, like themes they were moving through, and it was the yamas, and it was truth. So I got to dance in my truth, and I just love the way that then life unfolds. Then we showed up on the liberated we call it wasn't a masterclass, it was an online retreat kind of sampler for these beautiful women, and I was like, what is my role in this tonight? And then I realized halfway through it's just to hold the space, and so to just let it unfurl. And so I participated and I received from our amazing soul sister Lisa, who took us on a writing journey. And then today I had a session with one of my mentors where we unlocked, there's a book we had channeled this ages ago, but my body wasn't letting it in. And so there you go. This is how I move through life. And this is what you, I feel, are embodying as well. It's like you just take the step. So I love it. That's the dance steps, right? You take the step, and it's the action that leads you to the next one. Not like, yes, we plan, we forecast, but how often do the plans unravel? As I was sharing with you before we jumped on here, things get to move and shift, and then
and I just like to say as well, it's not easy. I was very judgmental of relaxed women.
Oh yeah, me too.
I was so judgmental, and to the point where my friend that referred me to you didn't want me to enter the group because she was feeling, and we speak freely with each other. We love each other to death, but she was like, oh, I don't know if I want her in my group because, I was quite perfectionism orientated and judgmental, and because I was all that to myself, I don't think I had truly experienced. I've had a magnificent array of friends, always have. However, there was a resilience in me and a toughen up, like just put your big girl panties on and just get on with it, Belinda. It's just like there was that tough love kind of mentality early on in life. I guess because other people who were in my environment had experienced that. And so therefore that's the way I was with myself, and that's the way I viewed other people. It's like, well, do you have to get all emotional about it? And, like, even though I would be quite sensitive and emotional myself, I never wanted to show that to the world. And then I went through menopause. Holy guacamole. Worst time ever. But, it's these kind of practices that assist in that getting through that phase, because when we run out of progesterone and we don't have any resilience, like physically in our body, it's like the armor is taken off and we're fully exposed, and that's like
it's a vulnerability, isn't it?
It's vulnerability, yeah. And then it's that knowing that yes, vulnerability is great, and it's just kind of allowing that, but then it's like I would have to have more of a process to bring me back into alignment, because otherwise I would just be exposed the whole time. And so then knowing that when I can just step into my own presence, my own truth, and my own beingness, it would devoid the emotions. It's like I didn't have to go through all the stories and everything that, I was always bringing with me from every aspect of my life, and that I could bring in that peace and that harmony and that joy in any instant. It's just like it's like quantum. It's just
comes to choice point, doesn't it? Once you have enough awareness, then there's no need to keep going back into the old stuff, because what it is, you recognize it, and you can choose to look through the eyes of love or the eyes of fear, or the trauma lens versus the empowered lens. But I love what you're saying about the menopause journey. Like, as you were sharing that, like, it was really awful, but it sounds like the gift in it, would you say, is this is true, is the great softening. And that's
absolutely.
Alongside that softening, for us to feel empowered in vulnerability requires us to build healthy boundaries, hey, because we'll basically armor the heart and we can't let anything in and we just get on with it. And all of those programs that we've spoken into that don't serve perfectionism, all those are protection ultimately of our heart space. So as we let all those go, then we can feel really vulnerable, and then we have to build some beautiful boundaries that are in alignment with now that we know who we are and where we've come home to the truth of our hearts. And then that's when you're really starting to be in a really awesome kind of queen energy where you can live with your heart open, but also you can't be fucked with. I think that's the wise woman years that you and I are both entering into now, which I love. It's a really powerful time, actually, in the best possible way.
And it's that sisterhood, and there's that wounding, which is a very real thing that a lot of women experience in life. And I've always had, as I mentioned, a great amount of friends, but when we do step into that space of others being able to share their absolute, in every moment, that's part of your containers, is that we share our shame, we share our celebrations, and we go shame, celebration. It's just like bang, 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 keep bringing it in, because the more often that we are turning up doing that and we're being seen in that, which is not the way we live everyday life. That's not that's not how people have been living life.
And it might be a bit too much right now for the whole world, but in these safe containers and sacred spaces, within retreats, within dance classes, it is a chance for us to play with that, the edges of our vulnerability and soften them a little bit, I guess.
So that I experienced that from your container, but also the warrior retreat. My biology, my makeup of what I was experiencing in my body, it was very different coming away from that retreat last October.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because of the women that were actually sharing their true selves, and it allowed me to share my true self. And so that it's like it just strips away the armor, which is the heart. A lot of us carry a lot of armor around our hearts because we've been hurt through this trauma and that trauma. But I think when we know that there's instantaneous ability for us to, do this for 5 minutes or that for 5 minutes, and it's actually going to bring us back to our own connection, that's powerful. That's that creation.
Powerful. Well, I'm really excited for the white oil that's coming out, because obviously we all go through massive upgrades over the year, and I find as soon as I start marketing the retreat, it goes through approximately three upgrades before it is birthed in its final iteration. But I was thinking back to last year and yourself being there and a few others, because I had this kind of sense that wasn't super anchored at the time, that it was somehow without us having to maybe do focused workshops on business or anything, that it was somehow going to activate everybody's soul purpose expansion. And so it's been really beautiful to see you step into holding these bigger spaces, and there's at least 2 or 3 others that were on there that have also gone into holding retreats and in-person amazing nature immersions and things. And so this year it's similar, but kind of gone next level, where there's a part of me that I hadn't really fully received, which was the grid worker, which I suppose feels like me really landing. I am a Reiki master, so I'm attuning my first students to Reiki mastery on Friday. But really when we step into level 3 Reiki, it's really about then working with the earth and working with those, the more collective energies. And so that feels like that's where my retreats are going, and we're going to go global in 2025, which is really exciting. So really, it's powerful, isn't it? It's so powerful what we activate in those spaces. And thank you for being there and co-creating that. Can't wait to see where your work goes next. So what's on next for you? How can they connect with you? How can they come and enjoy your
well, we had some beautiful feedback from the retreat. It was one young lady expressed that it was her best day of 2024. So, woohoo. Amazing. Yeah, we had some beautiful feedback. So it was, it was a beta test. It was like, let's give this a shot and see how it rolls. And yeah, we could do this and have it laid out like this and include some beautiful lunch at the end of all of activities. And it was a hit, and we got some beautiful feedback and suggestions for other ways to do it next time. So yeah, it's going to be evolving. And so I think that's coming up in another month. We've got another one coming up.
Yeah. And where in the world are you? Because you're not.
Yeah, I'm on a job easily, so I'm not on location, but at the stables, which is Tagalga. It's outside of the Murwillumbah. The Murwillumbah is a beautiful Murwillumbah town in the Tweed Shire. So we will be launching and offering out to corporate businesses as well for team bonding and linking up and connection with, just a beautiful exercise for, I was in the corporate world, so I know what it's like to have a nice experience for staff members to bond together and just to celebrate. And it will be a celebration piece, whether it's a spa or a real estate or whatever have you. It'll be a beautiful facility to bring in everybody and just to immerse in the space and just to experience a bit of a unique aspect and to experience that together.
Yeah, amazing. And outside
piece.
Teamwork is quite broad, but I could see how this is going to benefit their communication styles, how it's going to, again, if we talk about in the vulnerability piece too, like people being, how you step outside of the workspace and you see people in a whole different light and you learn all the things about them, and then you go back to work and it's just such a different environment when you've had that connection or you've pushed outside your comfort zone together. So this is
I'd like to say that when I was in that space in the corporate world, if I had have had this kind of experience, that would have allowed me more balance in my working life. I believe it absolutely would have been up-leveling my excitement for what I would have been doing each day. And it would have brought in that expansion for a creativity and to sort of take the blinkers off and just to open up and allow more of myself to shine through and for that to come through in, the practices of however I would have turned up in that business every day. And, if I had more ability to just, be in more my entirety.
It's that, like when you come home to more of who you are, you feel safer in community. You can't have one with, it's not like me or them, isn't it? Like, even though it's maybe a personal journey, it has such a profound effect on how you relate to others. Because as you've been saying, all of the reflections that you've done about how you were experiencing something and then projecting that into however you are showing up in relationships. So for these businesses where a lot of people don't want to be entrepreneurs like us and hold all that responsibility, but people do want to feel connected. They want to feel like they belong. They want to feel like they're a part of something. And so I can see how what you're offering is really going to feed into healthier connections within those corporate structures. So
it's exciting. Yeah,
super exciting. All right, beautiful soul. I think that's us for today. We made it through some technical difficulties. I'm thinking like people can see us, so that's exciting too. So follow Belinda and her offerings if you are in Australia, out at Belinda, where she lives. Sorry, I can't say it. Then just follow along, and the events will be posted. And who knows? I'm crossing my fingers and toes that she might have some online dance opportunities for people like me that want to plug in and cut loose in the backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. I will be. Yeah, I'll be sharing some online ability and coaching and one-on-one coaching as well for that embodiment practice of what I've been experiencing myself. And I'll be sharing the Wairua retreat coming up online on my profile as well. So look out for that and all the other juicy goodness.
Thank you so much. It's been such a beautiful conversation. Thank you for being so open, for being so vulnerable. My heart has actually felt like very expanded through that whole conversation. So deeply receiving you, beautiful soul. It's been an amazing journey with you and Keepers of the Blue Flame and Soul Seed. And yeah, look forward to just staying connected to Soul Sisters forever, number one. And I'm excited to see where your wings take you from here. So thank you so much. Love you to bits.
Thank you, Debba Debbaroo.
Thank you for tuning in.